Hello and welcome to this video. I'll be showing you board 2 of the layout. It's constructed similarly to board 1, which would attach on to this end and have its 2 platforms about here. They stop just before the edge of the board. And the reason why this one is in 2 parts, so I was thinking of having the track that runs along here raised, either on a viaduct or an embankment, or probably a bridge or a few bridges. And the plan was to have the fiddle yard there on a solid board and use another board to support the rest of like the scenic area. These boards actually came from the back scenes. This one was on board 1 and the baseboard was mounted along here where the glue marks and holes are, which didn't really work because the back scene, it's a bit weird for it to be behind the fiddle yard, so that got taken off and now it's here. And I thought that's a very good idea, it'd be nice and supported there and here. So drilled the holes, bolted the boards together, and as usual, being model railways, there's always a learning curve. The track coming out of the station would be about here. And now access to that bolt would be very difficult. So, oh no, how is that going to work? One option would be to cut a hole here underneath the scenic area to access that bolt. It'd be a fair amount of work to try and do something like that. And then to try and get your hand up there and fit a bolt, or have a bolt go through that side and try and tighten up a nut on this side. It'd just be a lot of hassle. So what I've decided to do is build the board as normal with all the bracing pieces, like 2x1s. So it'll go across like that. And then this board here would be fixed to the base of this one, and the top would be onto there, giving clearance to that hole there for the bolt. And there'll be enough clearance, won't need to cut any holes or anything like that. Some of you might be thinking it would have been easier to have just brought an open frame baseboard kit, but the only problem with that would be being at home to be there when it's delivered, and if I'm not at home it needs to be collected, but I didn't have a car at the time, so that would just be very difficult to somehow manage to carry that bag from wherever it'd end up. So all of these pieces, it's just been multiple trips to B&Q occasionally, and as and when I can get there, and just bring them back home, getting some of it cut there, and some of it, like the smaller pieces, cut at home to try and build the baseboard. This would be the end piece, and it's probably a good idea that this idea of having the board so low didn't work. It's proved another point that I hadn't thought about in the beginning would be the amount of drop from the station area, as the platforms are there and board 1 is pretty much going to be all flat. So why would the track or the land just drop so much? And what happens here? The land would need to rise back up to cover this support beam. So platforms drop right down and back up. Also taking in mind that the track would need to curve from the fiddle yard around here. Track, I'm guessing, would be about there, like a third, fourth radius, or fifth radius, depending on how I set it up. So I think so it'd probably be about here, and that's where the station would be. So with the board being raised up, or the would be the land raised up a little bit higher, I think that would look a lot more realistic. So if I did want to drop it down quite a bit, maybe just like a little river or something here, rather than the whole thing dropping and then have to somehow build it up to make it look right. So my plan now is to get some more 2x1s to run the length from the far side of the field yard right the way to what would be the scenic area, and I'll get about 3 of them. So we have 1, 2, 3, which should be enough to support it. And this board here will be unscrewed. Glue didn't even work over there, it's just unscrewed from there, and then placed underneath the supporting beams, whereas that one will be on top of it. Both of them will be screwed and glued down. And then all I'd need to do is just build a track bed. And even if there is a few supporting beams, there'll be about 1 there, 1 here, and 1 a bit further along. It wouldn't be too bad. If you've got any ideas or any thoughts, feel free to add them in the comment section. Thank you and goodbye.